Well, if you're actually still here for this long, then thank you and welcome. uh, Here's the thing. As I've told these stories over the years, specifically Saturday's video as of now 4 times, and yesterday's video as of now 8 times, which, holy cow, I've been making videos for almost 8 years now. I tend that the one inconsistency is that there's something I always want to forget to talk about. And this is one of those videos where I should probably address some of that. Because I probably made it seem like my time in high school, specifically like at Horseheads and up until, almost winter break at Trinity Powling, that it really was nothing but bad times. And that's not remotely true. There actually were a lot of really good things during that time. It's just, and this is the first thing I forgot to mention. And normally I would have mentioned it in yesterday's video, but again, I forgot. And that's, normally when you feel sad or depressed, usually you would probably, read a good book, listen to some good music, watch a good movie or a good TV show, get yourself a snack, something that will eventually, take your mind off what's making you feel down, and you feel better later. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that from the time I was in that room, and if you couldn't tell, that's why I've been referring to special as that room. No matter what I did, nothing really made me feel better. Because it was just a constant where, it was in where I have to, deal with going there every day at school. Which, looking back on it, was the one thing that really did. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were plenty of classes I had trouble with in school. There were, some hard, listen, I'm a teenage boy starting to like girls and no girls like them, so of course that was rough. Granted, a lot of it had to do with being in that room, but still. Typical high school stuff, but the funny thing is, maybe it's just because that I always had a propensity for, being prompt. And, maybe it was just that desire to want to be accepted and, feel noticed. But even during that time, there was actually a part of me that really did look forward to going to school. Like, for as bad as being in that room was, there were things that, did help a little. Not to say it made me feel better, but, it helped that it was happening at all. Specifically the people. Even then, I gotten to know so many good people that I still know to this day. And I'm very happy that I know to this very day. And sometimes, I do look back on some of those times, and you know what? I remember it being really cool. I remember, looking forward to going to choir class every day at Horseheads High. I remember looking forward to going to, gym class. Um, yeah, sports wasn't really the greatest for me, but I still got to. Actually, you know what? I'll say this. By the time I was a senior in high school, I really did thoroughly enjoy, you know, going to going to after school practice, for football and wrestling and track. Not just because of the people, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I really do feel that even though I wasn't very good at football, especially, it built character. It really did build character for me. It did. You know, and I mentioned this once before, specifically during one of the Blue Hammer videos I made. It was my old football coach that actually explained what building character means. And it was actually in a way where I understood it. And through that understanding, I started making, better choices, health wise. I started working out a lot more. I mean, you don't run 4 marathons for nothing. So, in a way, without some of that hardship of, sports, I think I really do feel like I'd be a much different person than I am now. Again, I've said this before. I sucked at football. I really did. But it did keep me out of trouble. And there were people on the team I got to see every day, and that was great. And the same thing goes with wrestling and track, but also choir too. I mean, to this day, I'm convinced the only reason why I didn't make concert choir, that's the good choir, the better choir, the more experienced choir. I didn't make it sophomore year because I swear, like, me being in special ed had everything to do with it. I'm convinced that's got to be the reason why. Because, I mean, not to brag, but by the time I graduated from high school, it was very evident that I was the best singer in my grade and by extension the entire school, bar none. But the only reason why I didn't make concert choir my sophomore year, as in a freshman going into sophomore, was because there were a bunch of people in special ed who were also taking choir too, and they thought it best to group everybody together. That's got to be the only reason why. And you're probably wondering, yes, I did ask that choir teacher why I didn't make it, and he said I wasn't mature enough. Really? You've got kids in that choir, like, swearing every now and again and talking about how later after school they're going to smoke weed. And I'm not mature enough? I think to this day, the most insulting thing about that is not only was I clearly, attacked on that mental level, but I was attacked on a musical level too. Specifically the fact that there were students in my grade who, I swear to God, didn't step 1 foot inside that choir room as they were band people. Yes, band people got in that choir over me. I'm sorry. Like, that's just plain. Like, if you did band and choir, I could sort of get that. But these are students that were, like, solely, specifically in the band, and they did nothing else. And they get it over me. That's just insulting. That's really insulting. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, again, by the time okay, maybe I would admit I did try and get better because of that, I suppose. So yeah, I guess I do have something to thank for that. But again, it was because I was in that room and even happened at all. I'm convinced of it. I mean, listen, this was a long time ago. There's no way any of the teachers back then would ever really admit to something like that. But I mean, come on, the writing was on the wall. It's a pattern that a kindergartner could piece together, you know. And the sad part is, I really, really, really did used to like this music teacher, this choir teacher. I really did. Even when he hosed me and didn't put me in concert choir, I still kind of hung on his every word, which in hindsight shouldn't have surprised me at all that, the year he was supposed to get tenure, he didn't. And it may have something to do with the fact that he married one of his old students, but that's a story for another day. But even in spite of all that, I still love this. I like to believe that your voice is the most powerful weapon you have in your disposal. It is. And whenever I use my voice to sing, even if I wasn't very good once upon a time, which was rare, there's a certain kind of satisfaction you get when you use it. I mean, listen, frankly, the only reason why I never really go out and do karaoke or perform is because, I mean, first of all, I blow everybody out of the water, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say I also get stage fright. I totally get stage fright, I do. It's just me. Also, I swear, whenever, I go to, karaoke, it's very rare they actually have a good music selection that I can work with, Because that would be indicative to, being good for my specific voice as a tenor one. I mean, there are some, but, I mean, I like to feel that I have the greatest range of anyone around me in my area, but, I'm a tenor one. I need to really show off the fact I'm a tenor one, Right, I should probably get back to, so, yeah, choir and sports. And theater. I was in theater too. I mean, it still haunts me that I never made the cut for Beauty and the Beast, but everything else I did. And you know what? With theater or choir or sports or just being in the classes I went to, the one constant, thing that was there was the people. It was the people there that really made all the difference. I mean, granted, a lot of those people were girls, and yeah, I was at that age where I started to notice and like girls. I was. I still do like girls, but, the time of making it to that age was a long time ago. So, yeah. And I guess it was the people that helped me build confidence. Yeah, it took a long time to get where I am now. And there was a lot of heartache, some heartbreak, and definitely a lot of crying, but I got through it. And I'm here right now. And I'll explain this more on next Sunday, but there are actually a lot of things that I am proud of, largely because I got to live to be able to see them, therefore I got to do those things, but still. For those of you who don't know, I actually take something called acceptance resolution therapy. And I've been taking that since November of 2023. And yeah, I still take it now. Lately, the thing I've been trying to work on is, obviously getting over this, but also, even after I mentioned how it built character and built confidence, I still desperately need work on that. And one of the things that I'll do in acceptance resolution therapy is sort of mentally go back in time and try and talk to that young version of myself. You know, the person who saw the movie I Am Sam and thought there'd be no escape from whatever the future holds. You know, the 18 going on 19-year-old who, you know, really did contemplate suicide and was gonna damn near do it. He just didn't know how. Even on days later on where I felt miserable, I've shared this before, and I like to believe my opinion on this has changed greatly since then. But on the day of my brother's wedding, I really just felt completely miserable. I was thinking that's never going to be me up there. It still isn't, actually, now that I think about it. But in acceptance resolution therapy, or effort, I'm just going to call it ART because it's abbreviated ART. I find myself seeing that younger version of myself, and I want to tell him everything that's happened and how there's a lot to look forward to and be proud of. And it's funny, I wind up seeing that young version of myself, and I don't know why, but for me, I either bring up, you know, good music of that time, or making my younger self laugh, because Lord knows that he needed to do that. Give him a hug. Tell him that he's an uncle. Tell him that you see a lot of really good people that you're more than happy to call friends. And you're actually really good at, and he's actually really good at making pickles too. Who knew? Yeah. I like to think that ART has given me quite a lot, to the point where, you know, I do look forward to whenever my next appointment is. Granted, I gotta wait until next week for an appointment, but you know what? It gives me something to look forward to. And you know what? Speaking of things to look forward to, I mean, if these trees were any indication, Christmas is right around the corner. Looking forward to Christmas. And as I said in yesterday's video, my birthday is December 28th. I'm turning 36 this year. It's crazy. And to think that 17, seriously, like, I'm not kidding when I tell you that shortly after I graduated Trinity Pauling, I forget who asked me this question, but someone asked me what I want to do. And maybe it was because I'm a SpongeBob fan. I remember that one thing that Plankton said, but I really didn't think I'd ever make it this far. And this is back when I was 19. I'm going to be turning 36 in less than 2 weeks from now. You know, I really didn't think I'd make it this far. Yeah, there's still some things that still kind of concern me, I suppose. I mean, I've yet to meet that special someone who I want to spend the rest of my life with. And, you know, I want to form a family someday, sure. But I definitely feel like I'm in a much better place where instead of, lamenting on the fact that it's never going to happen, I actually have the confidence to believe it'll happen. And I really wouldn't have any of that without, some of those hard times back in high school. The working out hard during 2-a-day sessions for football, the hours and hours and hours of running I did for, wrestling, and all the practicing I did to work on my technique, the lots of running I did for track, the countless hours spent singing in that choir room or being on that stage and performing, and overall just getting to know people. I don't think I would have what I have now without any of that. So, as the title of the video asks, is there anything I can look fondly back on? There is. And I just wound up answering the question. I tell you what, as the years go by, these videos, there's still that emotional dread I feel, but I always can't help but feel that satisfaction and pride knowing that, I made these videos. Granted, yes, it does put me behind on a couple things. I mean, there's a lot of NFL picks that, I gotta go over. But tomorrow, I think I'll go back to the way things are and then continue the series on Saturday. And there's a reason why I continue this series on Saturday, December 20th. But I will get to that when I get to that. For now, I think we all have a very busy week ahead of us. So let's get to it. And again, I am beyond humbled that I got to tell this story to all of you today. I hope that many of you hear this story and share it with others. So maybe if anyone's feeling down, maybe you'll feel better. And remember, as always, if you ever want to talk to me or have a conversation, I'm always going to be here to listen. And like my brothers before me, I'll always have your back. So take care and make good choices.